Show today.
Here's what we can play to open up.
We got a water main that's going 80 miles out.
Okay, let me see. It's on YouTube. It's, I think so.
They get no water, and now they said, we don't want water from y'all no more. And they were under a wholesale rate. But people in Flint about to find out what they about to show. Because everybody was on our shoulder. The whole region, all 4.3 million of us was on our shoulder. Now, the water system is threatened to be privatized. 2 years ago, United Water put a bid quietly. It was leaked. We're not going to do. Hello, how you guys doing again today? This is another installment of Black Lives Matter History Impact. Today, I just want to share a little bit of information with you. What I have on today is called a shoka. This is from Kenya, the country of Kenya, but the Maasai warrior, this is their traditional dress. And before colonization, actually, they actually wore sheep, cowhide, things of that. But after colonization in the early 1900s, they started using cotton with the invasion of Europeans coming into their country. But significantly about this, several different colors are worn by, the men, the women. Before the colonization, they actually made these garments and they dyed them with insects and plants and a lot of different natural things to develop the different coloring. Blue is really highlighted, dealing with women. There's a social status that's surrounded by the clothing. So this again is called a shoka. And again, we're going to be sharing information with our community, information that you may not be aware of, and we're trying to work to empower our community to think outside the box so we can be better informed citizens of the universe and of this world. Our topic today is going to be on voting, the suppression of voting, and what's going on across the country. In 2013, the Supreme Court struck down Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And this is what we're dealing with today. This country was founded and was taken by people that was already here. And even when in 1776, when they so-called established the Constitution, we were not included. And then you think about the merits of this country that talks about, the rules. So you're supposed to vote. This past election, people came out the woodwork to vote. And what's going on across the country in 43 states right now, they have introduced 306 bills to suppress or deny people the right to vote. And again, we must be aware of this information because it's critical as far as how money is distributed county by county. Why is that important? So if we look at the national level, as far as what happens when you have congressmen and senators dealing with proportion money that is distributed from the federal to the states, it is very profound how you are represented. And so with the gerrymandering and with the attack on voting suppression, the Republicans are not playing. They got a full court press going on to deny people the right to vote, because when you have the power to vote, you can put in your legislation. And this is what a lot of times Democrats or liberal or however you want to think about what party you in, if you are saying that I want equal access, where I want to be treated fairly in this country. Just take schools, for instance. There are black schools that does not get near amount of resources than white schools. That has been going on from day one. And the unequal access to opportunities is across the board. In every aspect of our living, we are governed, and we have to abide by laws, policies, and procedures. And when we are not at the table, when these things are implemented and are passed, then we are subjected to being excluded from opportunities. And all throughout this country called America, all black people have wanted is the opportunity to have a fair shot. And what's going on right now, they are cheating. This legislation that's taking place in 43 states, they are cheating. And again, our community should be more engaged as opposed to rioting. We should be out there dealing with legislation. As far as educating ourselves on the power of legislation, and then standing for those legislations that's going to help all of us, and then start boycotting, using our dollars to boycott systems, businesses, restaurants, I don't care what it is. We have to start saying that we're not going to spend our money with these institutions that are not supporting us. And again, when you think about elections and why this is so important, let's look at locally. We have in Flint, Michigan, the county has more power than Flint City Council does, or the mayor. And what's going on downtown with the mayor and the city councils is ridiculous. All that too is a ploy, because it's like three-card Molly. I can keep y'all fighting over stupid stuff where the county, all their needs are being met. I echo this over and over. They have spent almost $1.5 billion downtown Flint, and not a dime almost East Flint, North Flint, South or West Flint. When you think about the north side or any other area in Flint proper, we continue to be devastated on top of the water crisis that was done intentionally. And so why am I sharing this information with our community? The power is still in the rules, even though they are cheating. If someone is cheating, then we must work together to stop them from cheating. And to be able to stop them from cheating, you have to be an informed populace, meaning our community, starting with the churches, the schools, our family members, we must start educating and talking amongst ourselves so we can empower ourselves, group up together where we can be a dominant force that's working to change our community. The Democrats are working on a bill. It's called For the People Act. This bill is designed to combat what's going on the federal level with all these states trying to suppress the vote. And again, real power does not respect only power. And again, what we continue to do right now, we are fighting over resources. And again, to our community, and as we continue to do this historical impact, we just want to work to empower our community to start stepping up, stop being depressed, stop feeling that you don't have no voice, stop feeling hopeless. We come from people that was the first people on the planet, and they did not give up. I'm asking our community to get involved. If you have any more questions, please contact me, Hubert Roberts, 810-394-4105, and my email is mentorroberts@gmail.com. On behalf of Black Lives Matter History Impact, we thank you, and we look forward to hearing from our community.
Nothing, baby. Go after the ball, fellas. Let's go nuts.
Yeah. Call her, make sure she knows she's supposed to be coming here. Okay. Good evening, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Good evening. I want to welcome you to our introductory podcast, the Democracy Defense League. For our weekly Democracy Defense League presents social justice issues and actions. So I'm going to start out by telling you who we are. We came into existence not by choice, but by force when the state of Michigan passed a law that we're all here in Flint are very familiar with, called the Emergency Manager Law, otherwise known as Public Act 4. That law gave extraordinary powers to the individual that was dispatched to different cities around Michigan to take over their city. Your elected mayor meant nothing. Your elected city council meant nothing. And not only did this individual come in and take over and set aside your local elected officials, they also carried with them extraordinary powers. Powers to sell off our assets without the will of the people, voice of the people, or the vote of the people. And here in the city of Flint, we lost the golf courses. We lost Santa Claus. We lost many things that belong to the public. And the most devastating thing was the effort and somewhat successful effort to sell our water assets, our water rights. The switch to the Flint River was a design action to steal our water rights, but in the process, we got poisoned. So there's no city in this state that's been more devastated from the emergency manager law than the city of Flint. Other cities in the state of Michigan were devastated by emergency manager. Pontiac, they sold the Silver Dome. Pontiac, they outsourced the police department. Pontiac, they outsourced the emergency medical technicians. And they did that in Flint too. Detroit, they outsourced all kinds of public assets, including Belle Isle. How many of us used to go to Belle Isle to picnic with our families? They leased Belle Isle, just like they did with our farmers market. We used to own the farmers market for years and years. The city of Flint owned it. The emergency manager sold it to Downtown Development Authority. So emergency manager was designed to swoop in on a city and steal and transfer our public assets to private profit-making capitalist corporations. Let me say that again. The emergency manager was sent to different cities around the state to sell off public assets. In other words, what your city owned and ran, they were sent here to sell those off and give them over to private, for-profit capitalist corporations and including foundations. So how did the Democracy Defense League get started? We got started because we were shocked. We were shocked. Residents around the state were shocked that they would impose dictatorship on different cities. And we all know, looking back now in history, that most of the cities that got taken over were majority minority cities. Even though we make up 13%, African Americans make up 13% of the population in Michigan, over half of the African Americans in Michigan lived under emergency management. So, what was it that it took to take over your city? I mean, how did they decide what cities they were going to take over? They took over Detroit, Benton Harbor, Flint, Muskegon Heights, Hamtramck. How how did they decide what cities the emergency manager would go in and to seize control over? Well, as we just stated, they were majority minority cities. That was one factor. Another factor was they had high poverty rates. High poverty rates. Number three, and just as important as the other two, they had lots of assets. Lots of assets, like little tiny helpless Benton Harbor, high poverty rate, majority minority city with a beautiful Michigan lakeshore property that these vultures couldn't wait to get their hands on. And that they finally did. And they used the emergency manager to do it. So residents around the state were outraged that our democracy could be just taken away with the stroke of a pen. The governor just signed a thing, and we are all the cities that they chose were under dictatorship. They didn't send an army in here and take over the city hall and all. No, they just signed a piece of paper, and that was it. So many of us got together and participated in a movement called Stand for Democracy. And Bishop Bernard Dale Jefferson in the Flint area was the chairperson of Stand for Democracy. What we had to do to get rid of the emergency manager law, we had to get hundreds and thousands of signatures. And we went everywhere. And I want to share, and this was back in 2010 and 2011. And I just wanted to share, having been a part of that experience, the thing that made that movement so special is that you had Democrats participating. You had Republicans participating. You had unions participating. You had Black people participating, white people participating, all spectrum of political. You had socialists, communists, revolutionaries, libertarians, and all manner of the population participating that said, no, we do not want, and we will not tolerate dictatorship in Michigan. And because of that, the signatures were gathered. They had to go to the court. The Snyder administration fought back against the signatures, but we prevailed. And this is something that they don't give enough attention to. Out of the 86 counties in the state of Michigan, all but 6, out of 83 counties, all but 6 voted to get rid of the emergency manager law. They voted no to emergency management. And it didn't matter whether their city had been taken over or not. People hated the idea of dictatorship in this state. And did they go out and make that known? And that was one of the rare occasions where a cause rallied so many people of different persuasion coming together for the same cause. And we need to duplicate that today in the society we live in today. Justice must be the guiding force, and morality and humanity has to drive us regardless of our religion or our political persuasion, our race, our generation. If you're a baby boomer or millennial, we have to come together and take back this state of ours that the emergency manager successfully took away much of what we the people own. So that's how the Democracy Defense League got started. We were Many of the people in Democracy Defense League were part of the effort to gather signatures and get out the vote to defeat and destroy and obliterate dictatorship in this state. And we did that. Once it was passed, the state of Michigan, the Republican-led state and the Republican-led Senate decided that they weren't going to do what the will of the people was. They came up with a new version of emergency manager, and it was called Public Act 436. And that's what they tweaked it and passed it in the lame duck session, and that's what we living with today. And I am happy to say that there's some movement afoot in the legislature now to obliterate and get rid of Public Act 436, the emergency manager law. But I want to say that after we were successful in getting rid of the law and they came back and put in a new one, just tweaked it, put in a new one, it was then that the emergency manager law showed its true intent, because in the process of usurping and taking over and expropriating the public commons like water, we in the city of Flint paid the biggest price for that emergency manager law because we got poisoned. And you don't need me to sit here and repeat the horrors of the Flint water disaster. So the Democracy Defense League was born from the fight against emergency manager, and we had to refocus our cause and get into the issue of water, the water crisis. So today we're going to be bringing you many aspects of the political situation here in the city of Flint and around the state, because even though we look like we might get rid of emergency manager law, we still living with the consequences of it. And there's many things going on. And I'm just going to sum up where we at today, 2023. 2023. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. 2023. The water is not safe still. 2023. They have resumed the water shutoffs here in the city of Flint. People's water is being shut off every single day in the city of Flint. There's been no conviction for the people that poisoned us here in 2023. And our water settlement money, and I know many of you wonder, where is our money? Our water settlement money is stuck down there in federal court, is being held up. And by the way, it's not a great settlement to begin with. And that is stuck down there in the courts. And I would urge all of the residents here who got something coming from that settlement to call and raise sand with your attorney. Whoever represented you, you need to call and make some noise about that. And last but not least, we have a big flush of cash called the ARPA money that has come to the city of Flint. And if we don't stand up and force our leaders, and that's the mayor and the council, force our leaders to make sure that money come into our lives. If you got a tarp on your roof, you shouldn't, the ARPA money should be taking care of that. And other needs in our community. We listen to meeting after meeting. What do you want done with the money? And if we don't make them not ask them.
Come on.
Make them
Yes.
use that money for what we said they're gonna have a problem, as they should have. So now I'm gonna turn it over to my cohort, and we've been in the in this stuff longer than we care to say. But again, Bishop Bernadette Jefferson, who was a forefront in leadership of the drive to repeal Public Act 4, the dictator law. And when we would go around and tell people that there's a law on the books, they can come in and take over your city, your democracy is gone, it would put hair on the back of your neck. People didn't believe it. But we had to continue to sound the alarm to make people act. So that's where we at today. And I'm going to hand it over to Bishop Jefferson.
I want to say good evening to everyone. And we want to start from our beginning, dealing with this water crisis, dealing with the emergency manager. 2011, 2012, rain, snow, sleet, and hail. Stand Up for Democracy was out getting signatures to repeal Public Act 4. Public Act 4 gave one man the right to dictate what Michigan would have, what Michigan would not have, what Michigan could do, and what Michigan could not do. And by that, it came and it put us under dictatorship. And so we fought. In February of 2012, we turned in 215,000 signatures. We needed 152,000 signatures, but we went all over Michigan because it wasn't just Flint, it wasn't just Detroit, it wasn't just Pontiac, but it was Michigan under dictatorship. And we signed petitions and we said that we do not want Public Act 4. March, we were in court in Lansing. April, we were in court in Detroit. May, we were in court in Detroit. And in June, the judges, the Supreme Court judges, did not decide to make a decision whether it could even go on the ballot so we could vote on it until I was the only member pastor from Flint, Michigan that went to Detroit. And we, with the NAACP, put all the judges' pictures behind us because we couldn't talk to them face to face, but we said we can talk to you this way. And after we put them on Front Street, and that's what we have to do, is put them on Front Street, knowing that we're not going to be quiet, knowing we're not going to accept the mess they dish out to us, knowing that our lives, if it's not important to them, it is important to us as a community. And that's why we stand up and fight. And so we got it on the ballot for November the 6th, matter of fact. In 2012, we voted to repeal Public Act 4. And because they didn't like it, they were mad about it. In December of 2012, they had a lame duck session that said that we couldn't even repeal it anymore. And they changed it to 436. They just cut a couple of words out of it, tweeted a little bit, and came up with 436, which still was the emergency manager law, still came against our rights, still came against our voice. And so in 2013, we came together because we Stand Up for Democracy had did what it needed to do. Mm-hmm. We got it on the ballot. Yeah. And thank God for AXME that financed everything that we had to go up north, down south of Michigan, and got it on the ballot, got the signatures that we needed, got the papers printed up. Many people don't understand what it takes to get a bill repealed. But with AXME and with the Warriors, we stood together. Every place they had an event where they getting signatures. And then in 2013, after we had did what we needed to do for Stand Up for Democracy, we took a break for a minute, and then Democracy Defense kicked right in. Kicked right in. I was the one that headed it up, the chairperson, and for Stand Up for Democracy, Naira and Claire has been the chairperson for Democracy Defense. What I want to say, we're working together on one accord for the same cause to bring a difference into Flint, Michigan, to bring a difference to Michigan, to bring a difference in Genesee County. See, we don't just fight for one little area, but where there is a problem, where it comes against our rights, where we need to stand up and have a voice, where we need to make a difference, we work together, the same voice, working together, speaking the same thing. It doesn't make a difference about the color, doesn't make a difference about the age, doesn't make a difference about the gender. It makes a difference that we are warriors on the battlefield, fighting a good fight that we will bring change into our community.
All right. Very well said. So this was an introductory of Democracy Defense League, how we came about, where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
We invite all of you to join us. We've got many projects going on. We've got the ninth year of this water crisis. We're going to have some kind of programs and things coming up in April. And if you want to work on some of these things, you can contact us at Flint H2O Justice on Facebook, Flint H2O Justice, or you can call 810-813-1852. But every week we want to hear from you, and we want you to hear from us what we're doing to get social justice in this beat down city of Flint. We're not going to put up with it. And so every week we're going to share some information with you that may help some of you get through the rough times. And this week we're going to give you some information about the RAP program.
Also, we want you to know that if there's something going on that we don't know about, let us know. Flint Justice, let us know. And now we're going to investigate it. We don't just get out there on a whim, get out there on hearsay. When we do our homework to make sure what you're saying or what we heard is the truth, because we take pride in knowing that we stand for what's right, what the truth is.
Yes, so this week our help tip for the week is about the RAP program, where you can get assistance, financial assistance to help with your water bill. Now, this is a program that is just a Band-Aid, but sometimes you need a Band-Aid too, because we're trying to get the city of Flint to reduce the water rates so we won't have to be in this situation in the first place. And we'll talk about that in future shows. But right now, if you really need help with your water bill, you can call 810-510-9727. That's 810-510-9727. And call the city of Flint. The representatives from the RAP program, which come out of Detroit, because we get our water from Detroit here in Flint. It's a Detroit program. They are there at City Hall on Thursdays from, I think, 9 to 3. But otherwise, call them at 810-510-9727. So we're going to wrap up with that today. And we're going to be here every Tuesday to sound the alarm and listen to your voices and help come up with some strategies to get in this fight for social justice. We have been beaten down too long in the city of Flint, and we'll work with anybody that's there to fight for a just cause. We're not here with the politics of personal destruction. You're going to have to find another show to get that. We here to say what's going to raise and lift the whole city forward. So thank you so much, and have a blessed evening and be careful with the snowstorm that's coming tonight and tomorrow.
God bless you. If you're still on, we want you to know that your rights is worth fighting for. We believe in standing up for what is right. We believe in standing up for the people. We stand with you. We're not going to do all the work by ourselves because we don't want you to do work that you don't know what to do or how to do. We want to be informative. Look at you working.